Hey everybody, once again, the game of the day is Final Fantasy XIV, and today we're going to take a look at Amdapor Keep, the second of endgame dungeons that existed pre-2.1. Taking a look at my gear real quick, it's the same gear I was going in with previously, I think. It's the gear I'm running in now, which is pretty much just all Darklight. I've got my AF2 body and Garuda's claws. Really though, it shouldn't really matter here. You see, with the coming 2.1 patch, Amdapor Keep was actually changed. Wanderer's Palace, as far as I know, is still the same, so the previous video is still completely valid. I'm glad I waited on Amdapor Keep, though. What happened when they changed it was the enemies were made weaker, a couple enemies were removed, and most notably, a lot of the drops from chests changed. Specifically, you can no longer get any of the item level 60 gear in Amdapor Keep or Wanderer's Palace. That's all been moved to the new dungeons. Instead, the items that you got from Wanderer's Palace have now also been included in Amdapor Keep. Since Amdapor Keep has been made a little bit easier, it's now about on par with Wanderer's Palace. And as far as I can tell, the intention is for you to run both of these two dungeons until you get some level 55 gear, and then go tackle the newer dungeons which were implemented, which, from what I hear, are rather difficult. I believe harder than the Keep used to be. So with that said, I'm going to be focusing here on running you through Keep as well as pointing out what's changed since 2.0. So let's skip ahead to when I get a group. There we go. That didn't take so long at all. Granted, there's a billion people queuing up for dungeons right now. Why am I always queuing at night? Why is it always nighttime? As usual, you're gifted with a cutscene at the beginning. Go ahead and skip it. Now, this is the first dungeon that I've run since 2.1, and they did make a couple changes to Pugilist and Monk, so I'm actually going to be kind of relearning how the crap to play my class. The three other here have joined, I believe, through the Duty Finder Roulette. And they're apparently really happy to not be running the new dungeons. Which is why I waited. Because I knew from the start nobody was going to know what the crap they were doing, and I didn't want to be there for it. So right from the beginning, you should see two guys in front of you. Your first priority is to kill the small dude on the right. You can see right there, he's readying an ability called Void Call. If that ability succeeds, he will summon a demon dude, which is really just going to cause you trouble. He is a mage, though, so he goes down exceptionally quickly. He is your first priority. Then you can just kill the other guy. The other guy, more of a warrior. He goes down a lot tougher, but he's still just a dude. Most of the enemies you see running about in robes are regular humanoid-type characters. They've got classes and jobs just like we do. Void Call can be stunned, which I do believe the Paladin did. Now in the next room, you'll see a couple hippogriffs. I don't know how to pronounce that. I do like when the tank actually marks which one we should be attacking. Even in a situation like this, where it's all three of the same enemy, so it doesn't really matter, it does make sure everybody's focusing on the same target. It's really hard to tell who's attacking what, so half the time I don't know what to prioritize, because I want to power down one enemy. So I'm glad that he's actually telling us, hey guys, attack this one. The hippogriffs don't really do anything of note that you should have to worry about, so just power them down like any other enemy. See me doing a whole lot of dancing around as I figure this crap out. They changed two of my abilities to do a lot more damage if I'm at a specific location orientated from the enemy. And it's making it a lot harder for me to dance around them. Now, walking this hallway along with those two dudes previously is a Dullahan. Now, the Dullahan does have a directional AoE that will hit in front of him. You can see it right there. But other than that, not too much to worry about. The Dullahans in this area all pace an area. And he just happened to be the one pacing down here. Now, there's a couple more hippogriffs here, but we've already fought them, so let's go ahead and speed through this. Now, the Dullahan will actually walk over top of these, so you can be fighting those previous hippogriffs there, and that Dullahan will just come over and say hi. Now, you can see a couple enemies to the right. There's no reason to fight them. I don't even think there's a chest over there. So just ignore them and then go fight this Dullahan, which we've already fought, so let's speed on through it. Now, with that Dullahan dead, you can take a look forward and see 3 enemies. The one in the middle is another small dude who's a mage and will cast Void Call. So that small one in the middle is your priority. He goes down quick, but kill him so you don't have to worry about a demon being spawned. And the other 2 are just your regular dudes as we saw before, so unpower them down. Now, there's generally 2 ways I've seen to handle this next area, one of which I would highly advise against. There's 2 Dullahans in the middle of the arena. Just kill the Dullahans, please. It's a lot safer to just kill the 2 Dullahans. You can, if you can see a hippogriff there way off to the right side, you can sneak over and kill that hippogriff, and then sneak up to the barrier, which you can see off there in the distance, and not have to fight either of the Dullahans. However, I've seen that successfully done without aggroing one of the Dullahans and killing half the party because we weren't prepared for a Dullahan to come over. I've seen that done successfully once. It's a lot safer to kill the Dullahans. Just kill the Dullahans. Now, I think it was the white mage happened to wander too close to the hippogriff there, but the paladin was actually on the ball and grabbed it, so good job to him. So I guess we're just going to end up killing everything. If you kill the 2 Dullahans, just don't go near the hippogriff, and you don't even need to fight it. You're fighting one extra enemy by killing the Dullahans. Just kill them. Now, these 3 here, all 3 need to be killed before this doorway opens. The dude on the right will cast Void Call, so kill him first. Other than that, this is the exact same fight that we've seen before. But they do all 3 need to be killed before you can go through this door, and killing them without aggroing the Dullahan is tricky in the best of times. Now, with them dead, the barrier dispels, and we can go into our first boss. There is a lunatic priest in the center. He would appear to be the boss. He is not. He actually goes down pretty quickly. Not nearly as quickly as the mages from outside, or even the tougher warriors from outside, but overall he's not a huge threat. He is a mage, so he does cast spells. You can see him casting a spell on the mages there. But he will go down pretty quick, but get his HP down to about half, and he will rush to the center of the arena and cast Void Call. You cannot stop him from doing this. When he finishes casting, he will summon a Mind Flayer. That Mind Flayer is actually the boss. So everybody needs to hurry up and focus down this mage just to get him killed and done and out of the way so we can deal with the Mind Flayer. Or Psychoflare. Mind Flayer, I think, is the class. Psychoflare. Am I the only one focusing on this guy? What the crap? Okay, with him dead, we can focus on the Psychoflare. From a DPS perspective, the Psychoflare doesn't really do anything that we need to worry about. Defensively. However, he will, on occasion, summon, and you'll see a little purple chain come away from him, connecting to the rock when he does this. He will summon golems. It is our job to kill the golems. If your tank is feeling a little randy, he can go ahead and try to tank both of them at once. But really, they don't do that much damage. I can tank one of the golems. Focus the golem down, then go back on the Psychoflare. Now you can see the chain going off to the right, which means another golem is spawning. So I'm going to change targets and beat on that one. Now, I can tank one of these if need be, and I find I oftentimes do eventually just grab hate. Right now, the tank is doing a good job of trying to tank both of them at the same time, though, so that works for the advantage. Now, somewhere along the line, I got a weight status put on me, and I'm not entirely sure where or how that gets put on you, but it gets put on you, and it's kind of annoying. Now, when the Psychoflare's HP gets down to about half, you'll see him send a chain out to the middle of the arena, which will connect to a giant, frickin' huge golem. This thing will rise, and he'll just kind of wander back and forth in the center of the arena, occasionally doing a large area effect like that. Which is why, before, or at the very least when, the Psychoflare summons or raises the big golem, the Psychoflare needs to be pulled to the edge of the arena so you can run out of the way of the big golem's AoE. Other than that, just kind of pretend the big golem doesn't exist and keep doing what you have been doing. Psychoflare will continue to summon the smaller golem, so attack them, fight them down. I'm apparently tanking this one. The golems do have two AoEs, an AoE around them that you can't do much about, and a directional AoE. So if you're tanking them, try to point them away from everybody else. And then go back to the Psychoflare. Now, we have a full limit gauge, and he's pretty much dead, so I could limit break him, but it's only a level 1 limit break, and he's almost dead by the time I'm even thinking of this, so just kill him. That guy, I'm pretty sure, was made easier. I think he did go down a lot faster than he used to. Now, in this chest, you'll notice that is not the item level 60 gear that was usually here. That is item level 55, or at least I'm pretty sure it was. I didn't hover over it. Once again, everything in here is now item level 55 gear. So in the second part now, we're introduced to a whole slew of new enemies and things we have to deal with, the first of which are these statues. Be wary every time you see them, because if you get too close, they will turn into gargoyles. There is no way to avoid these. You can't sneak by them to not summon them. You just have to run in, summon them, and then fight them down. Overall, though, they're not that difficult to deal with. Beat them down like you'd beat down any other enemy. They're really not anything to sneeze at, nothing to worry about. At least from a DPS perspective. Now, they will summon in random places, which I think is kind of neat, really. You saw like 6 statues there. 2 or 3 of them will spawn every time you walk near them. The other 4 will just remain statues. And they'll just be statues. You don't have to worry about summoning them at a later time or anything, so don't worry about that. Now in the next room, you see a Brontosaur and 2 Houndlights. Once again, there's not too much to worry about here. The Houndlights are mages, so they will cast spells, so you can't kite them around or anything, which is sort of important. And the Brontosaur will go down like anybody else. I think the Brontosaur may have a conal AoE, but don't quote me on that. The Houndlights, once again, are mages, so it's a little bit harder to deal with them. But they still go down just like anything else. And that's about it for these, though, really. Just beat them up. It's really not that bad. Now, in the next room, if you take a look in there, you can see a couple more as I'm, like, trying to read through the chat as it's trying to scroll down and not actually paying attention to what's going on. A couple more gargoyles will spawn. The tank will need to grab them and pull them back, so you're not fighting the Dullahan that's also in the next room. So now they're in, and I'm thinking, hey, you gonna pull them a little closer into the room? I guess not. Oh, wait, no, I guess you are. I'll add it's really beneficial to the DPS if you pull these things the crap into the room. We need to move around them in order to do the best damage, and if you're hugging them, like, right out there in the room, I'm not going out there. I don't want to tick off that Dullahan. Now, this Dullahan is just pacing the room back and forth. It's super, super easy to just wander by him and not tick him off at all. But you can see there's a chest, and I'm trying to focus the camera so you can see it. There is a chest at the far edge of the room that used to contain item level 60 gear. Now it doesn't. And also somebody's going AFK for a little bit. Okay, I think we're good. If nothing else, the tank's tired of waiting. So he's going to run into the next room. Yep, we're good. Where a couple more gargoyles will spawn. You can also see a brontosaur in front of us. If you hug the wall here, you don't have to worry about the brontosaur at all. So just go over here and beat down these guys. Now, while everybody else runs ahead to deal with that, I'm actually going to sneak back here. Because there's a chest hidden off to the side here that everybody always ignores and never opens. It used to contain money. And really, who doesn't want free money? Just open the chest. That has been changed, though, so now it contains an X potion. I don't know if that's consistent or not, but it contained an X potion this time, which I guess is still just money. Now over here, there is a Dullahan wandering back and forth, which the tank has ticked off, so we're going to go over and beat up that Dullahan. And I guess I'm not going to speed up through this one. He's going to die in half a second anyway. But, kill that Dullahan. He just paces back and forth over here. Pretty easy to deal with. There used to be a Brontosaur and some Houndlights in the middle of this room. They have been removed in the 2.1 patch. However, the Gargoyles do still exist. You just have a little more freedom to move around while you fight them. Now there is a Brontosaur and a Houndlight there off in the distance. You can wander by them without getting into a fight with them if you sneak by the right edge. Which I assumed we were going to do, and then the tank just kind of decided to fight him anyway, so I guess we're fighting him. Now, unlike the Brontosaurus there, this Dullahan cannot be snuck by. They can actually, I think they detect by sound. So you can't just sneak behind them. And with the Dullahan dead, we can now wander into the second boss, the Demon Wall. Whenever you fight the Demon Wall, ask if we're killing the bees or burning the wall. Always ask. Always. 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 Because everybody does it differently, and everyone assumes that you are going to do it the way they expect you to do it. But everyone does it differently, so there's no way to know. And you will always do it wrong if you don't ask. So ask. The Demon Wall has a couple attacks to be concerned with. First of all, he will lay that path of goo in the room. Do not step on it. You want to stand along the right edge of the room, because it will first come in the middle. Then, immediately move to the center to dodge the second one. He will do that twice. After the second time, stay in the middle of the room, because he will use repel, which will knock you back. This didn't knock me back, and I was confused. Lag has prevented me from getting hit by that immediately before, so I stood my sorry butt there in the middle this time, but I also figured I should get out of the goo. You need to stand in the middle for that, because if you're on the edge, it will shoot you off to the side, and you will fall off a cliff and die. You will just die. Now, the reason you ask if you're going to kill the bees or burn the wall is because after the second repel, he will summon 2 gnats. Everybody calls them bees, or flies. I don't know why. Just go with it. But he will summon 2 of them. Now, fighting these things, the rest of the fight goes on as normal, by the way, so do pay attention to the demon wall's goo, and when he uses repel. But the bees can be handled in a couple different ways. You can either focus down the bees. The most common thing to do is to have the DPS limit break the left bee, which will just outright kill it, and then everybody else focuses down the right bee. Then everybody goes back to the wall. I've had far, far, far more luck just burning the wall. All the DPS, everybody just focuses on the wall anyway. The tank grabs the bees and just kind of pulls them away from the DPS. I've had far more luck with that. Because the bees have an AoE, they can paralyze you, do a lot of nasty things, and if you're trying to deal with that and dodge the wall's attacks at the same time, it's a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. I've had far more luck just burning the wall. Now, what we did there was actually different from anything I've really ever done before, which was we had the mage limit break. Use the area limit break to burn, or to take down both the bees a fair amount, and then we had to DPS what was left. If you can beat that demon wall, though, you can beat the final boss. That demon wall is easily the hardest thing in here, and has caused my own death many, 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 many times. Be careful. And always ask what you're going to do. Now, in the next room, a couple things happen. There are new enemies, one of which is a succubus. The succubus will cast a spell from a distance, whether or not you have hate on her. She'll just wander about her business and cast a spell on you. So you have to be wary just wandering around, and she'll cast it, and then just go on about her business all again. The succubuses are your number 1 priority. Always, you kill them first. They can cast a fire spell at range, and they can also cast, I think, a lightning spell, which does a fair amount of damage. The other new enemies in this area are the Soul Collectors. The Soul Collectors are essentially, if you remember back in the first part of this area, the demons that the easy-to-kill mages would spawn, they would spawn Soul Collectors, these enemies here. But that's about it. We're actually upstairs now. If you look down over the edge, you can see where we just were not too long ago. You'll mostly be collecting encountering Soul Collectors here. The Houndlights return, occasionally accompanying Soul Collectors. The Succubuses, which you can pull the Succubuses, and I was kind of wondering why they weren't. Maybe she's too far away. You can see her across there. You can hit her with something, and she'll run straight through all the enemies and not link with any of them. You don't have to worry about anything. You can see that ring there was the Succubus doing her little ranged attack thing. And then a Dullahan. This Dullahan will wander back and forth in this area, so you'll generally want to worry about him before ticking off the dudes down there. Once again, I'm wondering if we're going to take the Succubus, so I'm going back and... Nope, don't get hit by that. I'm going back and looking at the Succubus, going, hey, we're going to pull that Succubus? I think he's thinking, are we going to pull that Succubus too? But no, I guess we're not. It generally makes it easier to pull the succubus earlier, so you're not dodging her spells while you're killing everything else. But once again, this is just another... Oh, no, this is actually a Smolenkos, which is an eyeball, which has a directional conal AoE in front of him, so you want to not get hit by that. The Smolenkos is generally the first priority when fighting, if there's not also a succubus. So, like, kill succubus first, priority 1. Then Smolenkos is generally priority 1. Then everything else. Dullahans will wander around all the while they're lonesome, so you should not be getting into fights with Dullahans while you're fighting other things, as long as you're careful. Now we're actually pulling the succubus, and as you saw, wandered right through everything else. Now we have caught a succubus before, so I'm going to go ahead and speed through this. Succubus dead. There's a Soul Collector and a Houndlight, which we've also already fought, so I'm going to speed through these. Now with them dead, up ahead there's actually a large number of enemies in a very small area, so you're going to have to be careful how you pull them. There's a group of a Smolenkos and a Soul Collector right up front, which we are going to pull. A Dullahan will actually wander by in back, and will wander right by where we are standing now. You can also see the fire from a Succubus up ahead. So I see the Dullahan coming. You can see his feet up there. So we're trying to pull him in a little bit so we don't accidentally also pull the Dullahan. So I'm going to fight these guys, and with any luck, by the time these guys are done, okay, we're safe from the Dullahan. He's turned around. With any luck, by the time we're done with these guys, we should be able to dodge a Succubus's spell and then go in and take out that Dullahan. Because he'll be back. And you see a huge number of enemies down there at the far end. Down there at the far end, there is... just going to take down this Dullahan now that he's far enough from everybody else. Not get hit by that spell from the Succubus. Up ahead, there is a Succubus, a Soul Collector, and 2 Houndlights. You can pull the Succubus out of the group, which is preferable. Maybe she was too far away. Maybe this tank's just like friggin' awesome or something. I don't know, but apparently we're gonna fight all of them. So now you do absolutely have to kill all of the Succubuses. People have been known to speedrun through this area and just kind of not kill things. Run through them, let the tank die and the like. But you do have to kill all the Succubuses for the barrier in front of the final boss's door to open. If you're not speedrunning or death running or the like, though, you're going to have to kill him anyway, though, so it's not a big deal. And we're almost to the boss. You can see him up there. There's only 2 Dullahans between us and them. You can sneak by both of these Dullahans. It's much safer to kill the first one, though, so you can take your time sneaking by the second one. Now, I see that guy, he's getting a little close, so I'm not going to risk it, but apparently everybody else decided to, and apparently everybody else is paying for it. So I guess we're going to have to fight this Dullahan anyway. Dullahan dead, and now we can go into the final boss's chamber. As soon as anybody steps over the purple line, a cutscene triggers. You want to skip it. I think they changed that, so you only have to hit escape once to bring up the skip cutscene dialogue, because I was double tapping escape like normal, and it was just kind of wigging me out. Now you'll notice a number of gargoyle statues in this room. I'm trying to get you a shot of the boss here. You'll notice a number of gargoyle statues in this room. They are important. You run over here to the north side of the room, looking at the minimap. The north side of the room, this is where you're going to be fighting the boss. And for reasons of which I will explain shortly. The tank will pull him there, the tank will stand against that wall. You want to align yourself between the tank and the gargoyle statue on the boss's side. You do not want to be behind it. And you want to stand here and not move. I don't care if you'll get more DPS from dancing around behind him and the like. Stand on his side, don't move. This is because of a few reasons. One, the boss has a backwards AoE, which you can see there, which you don't want to get hit by. Also, after an amount of time, he will use a move called Imminent Catastrophe, which he's using right now. Imminent Catastrophe is a room-wide AoE. It centers in the middle of the room and will explode outwards. As long as you're behind a gargoyle statue, though, you won't get hit by it. Now, you notice, one of the gargoyle statues came alive. These things aren't as powerful as the gargoyles we fought before, but they will need to be killed. Generally, it's not my job to kill them, but if they get close enough, I'll still help out. It's not my job to kill them because, again, pretty much every job is better suited for dealing with these things than Monk. If only because I have very little moving around and covering distance abilities. And these things are a very long distance away. And the less time I spend running around everywhere, the better. But I did notice, I think our summoner wasn't quite dealing with them. Didn't bother pulling hate on him or attacking him or anything, which is why I ran out to beat on one. Now another Imminent Catastrophe, which I'm trying to show off a little bit there, hard to see. Now after the second Imminent Catastrophe, another gargoyle will spawn. This one is the one directly behind us, which I'm going to go over and just fight right off. And I got a chain connected to me. After the second imminent catastrophe, the boss will start attaching chains to people. What this chain will do is tie a bomb to the person. You want to get as far away from everybody else as possible. After the chain disappears, you have a brief moment before that becomes a bomb, and you want to get the crap away and not get hit by that bomb. Was that summoner just standing there right next to the boss while a bomb was connected to him? Yes, it was, which means now we're going to get the absolute tar beat out of us. But you know what? This thing's almost dead. I was trying to target the bomb. You can't. This thing's almost dead. I'm going to Fist of Earth so I can try to endure a little bit. The bomb will disappear after a bit of time if I can endure it for a little bit. Going to use Second Wind. Going to try to pull this off. He's almost dead. Holy crap. If I can limit break him, I can just finish this. Limit break him. Limit break him. Limit break him. Get. Dang it. Okay, so we're fighting the boss again, and we're fighting, and we're fighting, and I'm standing on his side and beating on him, and we've killed the gargoyle already, and about to limit break. Oh wait, no, I have a chain connected to me. I'm getting the crap away from everybody else, so I don't drop a bomb off. I don't care if the limit break would have killed him. I'm gonna run back in. He's gonna die almost before I even get back to him, isn't he? Well, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to limit break the last 1% of his HP. And I didn't even have a level 2 limit break because the one I used before counted. Skip the cutscene. You can now commend other players if they have been helpful. This is new. The treasure coffer will contain a weapon, I think, much like Wanderer's Palace did, but that's pretty much it. That is Amdapor Keep. It's a little bit on the lengthy side, but I think especially after they've made it overall easier, it's not that bad. These are going to be your two introductory dungeons, and you should probably run them for a little bit and get some better gear, be it Darklight gear with the tombs, or the gear you actually find, the item level 55 gear you actually find in this dungeon. You get 100 philosophy tombs, for beating it, as well as 30, they've lowered it now to 30 mythology tomes. But that's it.